A strange face was outside the window. My family has two people, me and my mother. My mother is a teacher, she teaches literature in high school. I was still a middle school student at the time. Usually, after a stressful day, my mother would go out with her friends. At about 2 a.m., she came home, reeking of beer. On the occasion of her wearing nice clothes, she wanted me to take pictures of her. The front of my house is mostly a large glass door, with iron bars crossed to make a frame. She modeled in front of the door. After a while, I reviewed what had just been taken. Everything seemed so normal until in one picture I noticed something strange. There is a white streak behind the glass door, next to my mother's face. I tried to take a closer look. Unmistakable, it's a face. A white face, with two black eyes looking straight into the camera in a creepy way, and a toothless wide mouth. Everything seems to be twisted into the center of the face. I have a feeling that this is not something that should exist. I just saw something I shouldn't have, but it is clearly appearing right in front of my eyes. I started to feel cold. The more I looked, the more scared I became. My mother noticed and wanted to see what I just took. I told her there was someone behind the door. She yelled at me and called me nonsense. But I know my eyes don't deceive me. And of course, her reaction confirmed everything. She immediately sobered up and told me to remember to close the door, turn off all the lights, and tell me to go to my bedroom. She also immediately entered her room and closed the door. The next day I checked the camera again. I couldn't find the picture, maybe she deleted it. Since then, she and I have not talked about this anymore. I know I haven't lost my mind, I know what I see. And even my imagination is not an element here, because she sees it too. My family doesn't worship anything, and I'm not superstitious, nor do I believe in ghosts. But it was an event that 8 years later I still can't forget. Abandoned school ghosts. This story happened in my hometown when I think I was about 8 to 9 years old. My hometown is very small, though there are multiple neighborhoods and the occasional abandoned house left to rot. At that time, I didn't know much of the town's history, but I knew of an old building that was called the Old Town School, my classmates and teachers. Anyway, one day I was walking to school, and since the abandoned building is on its way, I took a glance at it. In one of the windows of the house, I saw a pure white curtain, flapping around because of the wind. Behind the curtain were 3 elderly women. They seemed to be having a conversation before looking down from the window at me, making eye contact. I still have a vivid memory of the look on one of the women's faces, a face of confusion. I quickly broke eye contact and continued walking to school. I don't remember what happened that day except for that strange experience. I don't know what I saw that day, if it really happened and if I was supposed to see it. For all I know, it could be a dream. The only people I have told about this experience were my mom and my friend. My mom said that I saw ghosts, like a past student of the school, but other than that she laughed it off. My friend, on the other hand, was creeped out by the story, also telling me that I probably saw ghosts. For extra information, there is no reason for people to be entering the building, and there is no accessible entrance that I know of. The area around the building is all covered in weeds, vines, and bushes. All windows and doors are boarded up with wood, and nobody investigates the building's area. I'm not sure if I really did see ghosts, or if it was a dream. Ghost at an abandoned train station. This happened in 9th grade, and after school, I and my friends would usually take the tram to get home. On this particular day, it was only me and one of my good friends. Usually, we'd get off in the city center to connect with another bus, but on this day, for some reason, we chose to take it to the end stop. We were tired and sleepy from school, I guess. And so we did. But this had now added an hour or so from our already long day, so we were rather keen on getting back home. Though, I and my small bladder needed to use the toilet pretty urgently. Luckily, my friend knew that there was an old metro/train station just beneath where we had gotten off. This station had a medium-sized, red building that served as a waiting area, I suppose. It was cloudy outside, and inside this building/house the lights were off, and not a single soul was to be seen. The lighting inside the toilet was fluorescent as well. All this just really set an eerie ambience. I go do my business, but in the midst of that, I hear my friend just completely break down. She screams at me to hurry and come out. I laughed it off thinking she was being dramatic or pranking me. I do eventually come back out, and she hits me with, "I just saw a ghost." I just stood there thinking, what has gotten into this girl? She's Delulu. But she stood her ground and guided me to a mirror that was attached to a door, and told me to just stand there and wait. Not even 3 seconds later, this ghost was clearly an elderly man. He was in a train driver uniform as well, very on brand for the location, comes obliquely from behind, and just floated forward straight through the door. It all happened very quickly, and so at that point I'm just screaming my lungs out and we sprint for the exit. It was a very intense and very interesting set of events to leave it at that. I have never been opposed to ghosts existing, on the contrary actually. But I've also found it hard to believe that they present themselves so similarly to real humans. Now I know at least. My haunted house. When I was 14 to 15, it was a late night, and I can remember laying in my bed. As I was falling fast asleep, I remember hearing a sound that woke me back up. As I lay in my bed, I could hear skipping and singing from downstairs. I thought it was my sister, but the skipping and singing kept going, and I heard whatever it was stop in the kitchen doorway and say, "Hello, Kitty," in a happy, childlike way. After I heard that, I got up and went downstairs to get my sister to stop, but when I got down there, she wasn't skipping, she was just sitting on the couch eating ice cream. I asked her about it, and she said she wasn't, but I didn't believe her, so I went to the kitchen where my parents were watching TV, so I asked them, and even they said she wasn't. I remember getting so angry because I felt like everyone was lying to me about something so simple, but they weren't lying. I would know if they were. The morning after that whole situation, my mom asked me about it, so I explained everything. Then she even told me about a lot of her experiences, and why when we were done playing with toys that had batteries, we had to take the batteries out, or else they would go off at random points through the day and night. She even told me about how when I was a child she would hear voices through the baby monitor. Well, that's all. I hope you all enjoyed it. Check out these other stories if you enjoyed this narration. Thank you for